we've got a good number of folks on the call, so we'll probably just get things started. So I guess this is a relatively informal one of our knowledge share sessions. So everyone in the Golden Packet is already aware, but for those that are not, the Golden Packet is an annual event. We have 16 stations along the Appalachian Trail from Georgia to Maine, or Maine to Georgia, depending on how you look at it. And with 16 people, we've had a lot of luck in the past of sending messages the length of the trail, or almost. We have been successful saying the whole length. It's just been a while, but instead of having just a once a year event, we had a number of folks that were in the group that wanted something that took place on a at least more than once a year. So we started these knowledge share sessions. They can be anything from just kind of a get together to help desk sessions, preparing people for the event. Or they could be, like something informal, like tonight's session with Craig, where he comes in. This is actually Craig's second time joining us to talk about DigiPi, which I'm a huge fan of, and I know we have a few other folks that are part of the Golden Packet group that also use DigiPi. But and I also wanted to take a moment and say welcome to any of the folks who are joining us from outside of the Golden Packet group. Happy to have you here. Doors always open to you guys. Anyone have any sort of news or announcements or anything? I've got a really cool announcement. So many of you guys know that myself, John Direwolf John and John Tarbox and Jason started the APRS Foundation, and we've kind of just been operating or just getting things off the ground. The real big thing that we were waiting on was whether or not to see. We were a Delaware nonprofit from the first day of incorporation, but really, in order to take advantage of a lot of benefits, you really need to be a 501c3. So I submitted the application back in May, got a call from the IRS wanting some additional information in August. And then I think it was early last week, got the letter. So we are officially a 501c3 nonprofit. I think we're actually technically now a 509A2 public charity, which I had no idea that existed, but leave it to our government with numbers and letters to come up with more categorizations of things. But we got that. And then we also, and this is why I was hoping Don was going to be here, but we also have our first donation to the foundation, a check for $300, which came from ARRL. And this was actually a way of saying thank you for the article that Don wrote for QST magazine, which I believe is going to be published imminently. But I didn't realize that they gave money out, and they asked Don where he wanted the money to go. He was kind enough to say to the foundation. So that is our first donation.
If the article is in the September QEX magazine.
Okay. QEX.
It's been
okay.
Published.
It is. Excellent. What is this? Bring her within your shot. Oh, was there somebody's birthday I missed? Oh. Yeah, so happy birthday to the missus.
Indeed.
I won't sing. We want her to stay around.
Yeah, for sure. Tell her happy birthday.
I will. She's sitting right here. We're eating dinner, and she said, no. She goes, don't miss your meeting. She said, so that's the kind of wife I have.
That's a YL worth keeping for sure.
And she's a ham, so
even better. So so foundation, I guess at this point we're probably going to have one more executive team meeting to just kind of plan finalize our strategy, and then we'll be kind of coming out to the world over the APRS SIG mailing list. I would hope within the next 3 to 4 weeks, give or take. and hopefully we'll get some traction with the foundation and keep APRS alive and well and flourishing. So, as far as our guest speaker, Craig, KM6LYW, so I've known Craig for about a year and a half now. I think probably maybe video 3 or 4 that had come out about DigiPi. I came across it. I fell in love with it. Built DigiPi, I think, like less than 24 hours later. And I was hooked, and I still use it. So I even used it for the golden packet this year. Don't tell anybody. But with a Raspberry Pi and optionally with a GPS transceiver, audio interface, and optionally a small TFT display. This runs Direwolf, or at least it started out as purely an APRS device, but the scope of it has expanded dramatically. And I won't steal any of Craig's thunder, but I will just say that it's been sitting at version 1.6 for several months, and 1.7 just came out. So I thought it would be a good time to bring Craig in to kind of just go over DigiPi and what's new.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Yeah, we've got a bunch of people. 17 people. Fantastic. I really love what you guys do. We need to have a Pacific Crest Trail golden packet. I'm out here in California. I could hike up to Lake Tahoe summit at some point. I don't know if we can get that together. I don't know if we have the APRS people out here, but thank you for having me, you guys. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Craig, and KM6LYW. I operate a YouTube channel. I'm a software engineer. I created something called the DigiPi image, which is a ham radio data transceiver. It's just an SD card image that you put in a Raspberry Pi, but ultimately it gives you access to every data mode there is. And I think you guys know that a data mode is basically any way to transfer information that isn't, well, voice. So this isn't digital voice. This isn't upper sideband talking. This is, being able to operate your radio using what kids use today. They use their phones, right? So when was the last time you saw a kid actually talking on a phone, or anyone under 30 for that matter? Everyone's texting, everyone's using data modes, and I think to capture the imaginations of the next generation, we really need to emphasize data modes and make them accessible. Make it so you can use your phone. A lot of people will hook up a keyboard and a TNC, Caltronics, and it's too complicated. Everyone has a keyboard and a screen in their pocket. So I think we really, to make ham radio accessible, we need to emphasize the data modes and make them available on what people already have and what they're already familiar with. So DigiPi, actually I have one here. Jeff showed you one. I have one that's turned on here. I don't know tell me if you guys can see this. This is a Raspberry Pi like the one Jeff showed. The TFT is actually active, and when it's in TNC mode, it says DigiPi TNC, as receive and transmit lights on there. And we're seeing the stations roll in. And of course, I can connect it with a PRS Droid over Bluetooth, or I don't know, what are the other ones? Exaster, Yak. It does KISS, and ultimately it's running Direwolf under the hood, and I'm using Direwolf to light up some GPIO pins for push to talk, and to get the LEDs and the transmit stuff going on here. And here we can see the ICOM 705. It's being jammed by an unintentional emitter by our power company. It's about 100 yards from here, but we'll see if we can get some packets going on. I've got a huge noise problem working with the power company. But anyways, S9 of noise, power pole. But this is a DigiPi. This is a Raspberry Pi 4. It could be a Raspberry Pi 02 wireless. This is my favorite. Unfortunately, this is one of the harder ones to get. This will do everything that will do. The memory budget here is 512 megabytes for the entire system, so we can get away with these cheaper guys. And the little screen just tends to fit on it pretty well also. So it uses a USB cable for audio and push to talk. We've also got one, I think, Jeff, do you have one with an audio board? So we can use our dual band rigs. Yeah, so over back, I got a Yaesu 2980 back there. And it has a little audio card hooked up to it. And then it's using the speaker outputs, microphone inputs, and FTM 400 also over there. It's actually, it's not on, but it is stuck to the wall back there. So that is the DigiPi kind of hardware in a nutshell. So the software is really what makes it interesting. If you go to digipi.org, there's an SD card image. What I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can share my screen with you guys. Is that okay? Let's give this a shot.
Absolutely.
All right. Let me know if I'm sharing.
Yep. See it
my
now.
desktop. Yeah. So DigiPi.org, this is where you can get it. It's currently for patrons of the channel, but if you want it, just send me an email. Jeff can contact me. I'll just give you the image. It's passcoded for right now. I don't have a way to do contributions just yet, but patrons of the channel will usually drive the direction of this. We have a Discord channel, things like that. So you ultimately download the SD card image, you jam it in your Raspberry Pi, and when you turn it on, it becomes a Wi-Fi hotspot for one. So it'll be DigiPi. So if you're on a summit or a park, you can get this web interface that way, or you can go and change the Wi-Fi password and set it up with your home address there. So once you're hooked up here, oops, let me go forward here. I'm back too far. It'll be on your home network. And there's a link down here called Initialize. And this is where you enter like your call sign, your WinLink password, your APRS password, grid squares, latitude, longitude. This has an AX.25 node in it, so there's a bulletin board built into it. And your rig number, if you're using USB, all the stuff you have to tell all these applications normally to get up and running on your on your data modes. Let's take it back here. I think you guys know what all of these modes are. So we have, APRS TNC. You guys just saw that. There's Digipeater mode. Like I said, there's a Linux bulletin board in there. Actually, it compiled the Infocom games on there. So you want to play Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy or Zork, we've got it on there. You can actually play those over the radio. It's a huge waste of time, but it's infinitely cool. There's a WinLink email server if you guys are into that, and the Pat WinLink email client, so you get your inbox and outbox, so you're doing email. And again, you're doing all of this over your phone or any web browser for that matter. There's an RDOP modem in there that's actually working. It's kind of broken with the newer Linux kernel, so I have actually pinned this to a specific kernel, so RDOP continues to work. And then the big GUI apps that you guys are all familiar with, WSJTX, Slow Scan Television, FLDigi, JS8 Call, and again, all of this stuff runs in a web browser. You don't need a keyboard or a monitor, nothing fancy. Just hook this up to your radio and you're good to go. So you can actually be in the other room watching TV with the XYL, right? And she just thinks you're playing with your phone, but you're actually making contacts on the WSJ on FT8. So that's a possibility. The one thing I skipped over here, and I kind of did it on purpose, and that's the new feature for DigiPi 1.7. Not only did I, just do an apt-get upgrade on all of the apps and libraries here for DigiPi 1.7, but we created a brand new service called APRS Web Chat. What I didn't like having to do is having to go in APRS Droid, which is a little awkward, right? I don't know if you've used APRS Droid or had to buy the iOS app for your phone to use a KISS client, to get into your TNC, to do some sort of messaging. I really want to promote APRS messaging. It's not just about sending your position and having people watch you go back and forth to work all day. It's really about messaging and, get it in a relatable way. So APRS Web Chat is a new service. I'm actually going to click on right here. And the DigiPi is going to fire up APRS Web Chat, which is basically another web page. You can see it's green. That means these are the services up here. They just sit there and run. You can turn them off and on. And down here, there's the launch links when you want to see a particular application in your web browser. So I'm going to click on Web Chat down here. And it's going to pull up a familiar, hopefully it pulls up a familiar instant messaging type of interface. And you guys see that okay? I can probably zoom it in some more.
Yeah, it looks good. Cool.
So you guys know how APRS messaging works. This is so awesome. I'm not having to explain APRS to you guys. So, a popular APRS autoresponder is called WXBot, and we can say, I don't know, what do you send with WXBot? Like, I don't know.
Using zip code or
zip code? Because it'll use your beacon. Actually, what I should do is send my GPS beacon first. I don't know. I'm going to send a beacon right now, and we're going to watch this transmit. Can you guys still see me? You should see the radio now. Can you see me on the screen and my screen?
Or see the radio and your screen.
All right, so I'm going to send GPS beacon. We're sending it now. The radio turns red, and I sent out my position to the network. Of course, APRS needs to know where you are in order to light up the right repeaters in your region, particularly for messaging, right? Hopefully you guys can see me. So I don't know. I'm going to give it my zip code 95614. So I'm going to send the virtual radio WXBot a message of 95614. I'm going to click send. We see down here, I'll zoom in even more. There's a little thumbs down next to it. So I haven't got the ACK packet. Now that thumb is now up, which means I got an acknowledgement. WXBot actually received my my message. Now we're kind of waiting for WXBot to send us the weather for our location. Hopefully this is showing up. And sure enough, it is. I got a message directly from WXBot using APRS messaging. It says 5 miles east of Auburn, California, tonight is clear with a low of 60. So, ultimately I sent a message to another radio using nothing more than my web browser, Raspberry Pi that's plugged into my radio. There's no internet involved here other than this is going through iGates somewhere in my area. I don't know where, or I don't even care for that matter. So someone just sent me a message, KJ4ERJ, greetings from Florida. Hey, I appreciate it. You're making this demo too easy for me. So I'm gonna say, hey, thanks for the
The memories.
thanks for the memories, and I'll hit return here. That's gonna go to KJ4ERJ. I'm sure you're here. I'm sorry. What's your name, KJ4ERJ? Are you here?
That's Lynn.
As soon as
Lynn.
I find my unmute button, yeah, it's Lynn
Yeah.
down in Florida.
Right on, Lynn. So I got your greetings from Florida, and then I send the response, and this is a little thumbs up back next to it. That means, Lynn, you sent me an acknowledgement packet, so I know you're seeing it right now on whatever APRS client that you're using. So
APRS IS32, but I still haven't gotten
Yeah.
your ACK, interestingly enough.
So let's say you sent me greetings from Florida. I'll send 3 ACKs, as a matter of fact. And again, I'm having a lot of noise problems here too, so I'm actually kind of surprised some of this is working. I just did another transmission just now. I'm just watching the APRS protocol. In fact, if you want to know how it works, you can actually go click on packet log right here, and we'll actually see the direwolf stuff happening right now. See, I'm sorry, I just sent you 4 ACKs, it looks like.
Yeah, apparently your iGate's pretty busy. It hadn't made it through, but that's okay. I'll kill it on my end. So it doesn't keep retrying.
And I see hello from Virginia. I'm actually just looking at a K4 APR. Cool. This is the direwolf log. You guys know what this looks like. But people shouldn't have to look at this, to know how things are working. So let me go back to web chat here. And I've got K4 APR. Hello from Virginia. Say, hey, 7-3 from California. And the radio is going wild here, with all the APRL protocol stuff going. Why did I spell California wrong? California. It's spelled right. I'll send it anyway. Don't censor me. So yeah, I'm talking to you guys. How cool is that? And you can do. We've got other things like we can send a message to repeat. I don't know if you guys know this one, but I can say send me the nearest 2 repeaters for my area, and the repeat virtual radio is going to hopefully give me an ACK packet real soon. Again, this is all over RF. I think our nearest digipeater in iGate's 6 to 10 miles from here, G-Town. Yeah, you might have missed it. You might have missed it. So what I wanted to tell you guys about is not so much the DigiPi stuff, but the software that actually runs this backend. It's called APRSD. You'll notice down here it says powered by APRSD, and this is a project I was working on for a long time when I really got into APRS. It's like, well, I want to make like a virtual radio, write it in Python, hook it up to APRS IS, and be able to send it messages, have it do stuff, and respond with something interesting. Of course, my first thing was like ping or tell me a fortune, but it kind of blew up in our faces, and it got out of control real quick. Now we can actually, there's a whole bunch of plugins for it now. So other people picked up the code and did a bunch of pull requests. I got another buddy that's helping me work on it, and this is one of the outcomes of that. So we can do with APRSD, we can do email, we can do Telegram, I think. In fact, I was just one guy actually made one called I finally got 2 repeaters back. Took a while. Here's the closest 2 repeaters to me. When you're in the middle of nowhere, like when I go up like to Nevada, I'll send N-2 to the repeat call sign, and it'll just send me the 2 closest repeaters with their frequencies, offsets, and tones. So the repeat thing is APRSD is actually running the repeat radio service as well. So it's not just APRS chat. It'll actually do a bunch of cool. It'll become a virtual radio that you can send commands. So repeat is one of them. We've got another one called WX Now that's out there. And I can say, what are the nearest 2 APRS weather stations to me? It kind of uses the same code as the repeat stuff. And it'll just send me the weather from 2 different radio APRS weather stations. So here's KM6LYW-3. That one's obviously pretty close. And my buddy Greg's, he's out here. It's 89 degrees here at my house. So anyways, these are some examples of APRSD. Now you can get APRSD on GitHub and implement web chat if you want, or if you're a Python programmer, you can implement one of these plugins. Like, we have email, fortune, location, ping, query, time, version. So APRSD, that's github.com/KragerL That's me. And you can install APRSD, which gives you access to the web chat interface and all of these plugins. Or you can just get the DigiPi image, and you'll have web chat all pre-configured, ready to go, like I just showed you here. So APRSD is really what I wanted to showcase. Not only does it do the web chat stuff, but it becomes a virtual radio. So if you wanted to implement WXBot, APRSD will give you the framework to do that. And we lack imagination. I don't know. There's probably a lot of other cool services we could do. I mean, I don't know. We did repeater book. We did weather. We've done email. We've got Telegram working. And there's another guy out there that has a WhatsApp working, so I can actually send messages to my phone. This works great with the wife. WPS APP, I think it is, and then at CL is an alias. S2 WhatsApp. It's APP. I'm pretty sure that's it. I'm gonna send that, and then we'll see my phone light up here. I don't know. There it is. You guys hear that? So my phone actually has a WhatsApp message from my radio. And I do this from Desolation Wilderness. Stay in touch with the wife. So here's a test to WhatsApp on my phone. You also notice that WhatsApp virtual radio sends status was reached, status was seen. So I know from my APRS radio using web chat that I actually saw that message on my phone. And of course I can reply here and say, replying to WhatsApp over RF. And I'll send that. And then we'll see that pop up on the screen here. So this is going from my cell phone through the WhatsApp virtual radio on the internet. And then, of course, all the endpoints are RF, right? And there it is, replying to WhatsApp over RF. Again, APRS web chat on DigiPi. All right, so I've been talking a lot, you guys. I don't know if this is what you were after, Jeff. I just wanted everyone to know DigiPi 1.7 is out there. It's an update to all the apps. The big killer thing right now is APRS web chat. This is one I'm really happy with. And of course, I've been demonstrating it here. So you don't need to use your phone or APRS Droid or APRS IS30, all that stuff. You can just have instant messaging, like what kids use every day all the time, right? And we're just getting started. This is just the first shot at this. All right.
That is a really cool interface. I like that interface. Have you heard of the SAT server that I run? Just send a message to the satellite server. Just send a message to ISS.
Oh, yes.
The content can be anything you want.
Yes, I use this all the time. You run this? I use this.
I run that.
Because a lot of times when I'm up in the wilderness, I won't have access to a digipeater, but I'll do this before I leave, and so I can get the next couple of passes. There it is. So acquisition of signal in 3 hours and 45 minutes. Yes, thank you.
If you want to know it for someone else, say you're chatting on the radio with somebody, you want to tell them when their next pass is, you can put anybody's station ID in there, and it will give you the next pass at their last beacon location.
I could tell my buddy Walt his next pass. He's in Virginia, so yeah, I got an act from you, and it'll blink when we get repeats. So blinks are good.
Yeah,
we've seen the same packet again. Yeah, he's 3 hours and 44 minutes. So yeah, it must be going right between us. No, I don't know. No, that's the same as me.
And so all the different tabs though across the center are just stations you've already had conversation with.
These are conversations I'm going through them right now. There's WXBot, repeat, WhatsApp, ISS. So it works like any other instant messaging chat and client. In fact, it's a lot like IRC chat, if you guys remember that, if you're old enough. We still use that. But we've actually, the beta version of this actually looks a lot more like, WhatsApp with voice bubbles and stuff like that. So the newer version, this one's a little old. This made it through QA. By grace of God, it made it somehow. It actually works. I don't know, but the newer version actually looks cooler. And so, there's a lot more that we would like to do with this. So, but I want to get people involved in APRS messaging.
Yep.
I think people don't realize that's really it's the cool part. It's not about the beaconing. I don't care where you are. But every now and then I'll send a beacon. There it goes. It's transmitting the beacon. There goes my latitude and longitude out the radio.
I like the little balloon message when you send the beacon too. That's nice.
Yeah, just to let you know what your position is. So the web chat, and APRSD is the thing that implements web chat. So if you're interested in building a virtual radio like what you have for your ISS autoresponder, APRSD allows you to do that. So you can just put a tiny little Python plugin and have it do something interesting. I don't know, have it give you a stock quote, or see, that's the problem. We can't think of anything cool. or something
Hey there.
really useful.
This is Dave W3DJS. I'm the curator of HamPi. Um, I don't know if you've heard of me, but I'm glad to have heard of you because it's always good to find other people building images for the Raspberry Pi.
Sure.
Um, my question is, how do you build the software on the image? Are you doing this by hand, or do you have scripts that do this, or are you using like a automation tool like Ansible uh, or 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 Chef or something like that?
God, I wish. No, I'm just not that sophisticated. No, it's all done from the command line. I have a bunch of notes here, that I will follow to snapshot an image, zero out all the null blocks so it compresses well. You know how much labor goes into building an image. And a lot of it's just QA, getting it sanitized, getting all of the temporary data in place, and then running some sanitization scripts to get rid of my call sign, put in tokens. Because the big part of this is the initialize thing. I think I showed you guys, where users can enter all their data, and it sprinkles all that data into those applications. So this is kind of the cool part. So you never have
That's
to open
really
a command line to
sophisticated.
do this, ever.
That
If you have to open
that
a
is
command
really
line, I've failed.
sophisticated. HamPi does not do that, so that's really cool that you do that.
But if you want to open a command line, you can still do it with a, guess, a web browser. So here you are. I'm in a web browser and I have my command line if I need to hack on this. You can see all the direwolf config files for all the different modes, shell scripts. This has linpack built in. I'm trying to think of any other AX.25 types of things. So yeah, actually we're doing linpack, AX.25, bulletin board, if I wanted to start that. But I don't want to go over all these modes, or I'll take you guys know what these modes do. And I've got videos out there if you want to see how each one of these things kind of works.
So you actually have JS8 call user interface running in a browser that I can, using DigiPi, just do JS8 call
Yeah, you
from
want
my
to see it?
phone.
I'm turning off web chat right now. All right, I just clicked off on web chat. Actually, it'll turn it off automatically, and at least I think it will. Now I'm going to click on JS8 call here, and it's going to start the JS8 call service. I don't know if you can see my my avatar, but just can you see it?
Yep.
It says JS8 call, right? So it's in JS8 call mode. So JS8 call is actually running in the DigiPi right now. And then I go down here and click on the JS8 call launch link. And
Okay, I got to get my
you guys
4080 dipole back up in the air.
There we go. Now we're on JS8 call, and I have the wrong antenna plugged in. I'm going to put it on HF. So again, it's running in a web browser. Now, the web browser, I mean, it's convenient, and this will work on your phone just as easily. In fact, I think I had it up here. I'll click on I'm going to do the exact same thing on this phone, and you should be able to see JS8 call running on my phone just like it is in my web browser. And you can use a VNC client and stuff too, but that's basically how it is. That's JS8 call. Ideally, you want a tablet or something. Phones are a little awkward. Use the VNC client. It's a little more ergonomic when you're using the mouse and whatnot. In fact, I am nowhere near the right frequency here. Actually, I can use JS8 call to change the frequency if I want. I want 20 meters. I don't know. I promised myself I wouldn't operate radio with you guys. They're on 20 meters. I got so much noise here from the power company, though. It's really sketchy.
Is it different, like more than usual, or?
Yeah, I've got there's an arcing insulator out there. It's unbelievable. So it went away after the last rainstorm. So I found the pole, but man, just totally puts me out of business. I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna see anyone pop up or not. I mean, I got 5 over on noise, and on AM it's just totally unusable.
There's probably an ARRL RFI team in your area. Just look for them, and they do a big job up here in the Northeast, so they'll probably help you out wherever you are.
I got to try something. Yeah, I've already called the power company. They ask intelligent questions, like when does it happen and that kind of thing. But yeah, I'd have to wait for the next rainstorm. Yeah, I don't think I'm actually decoding anything. It's that bad. I do see some signals there down here. Anyways, this is JS8 call running in a web browser. FT8 runs. Oh, here come some people. Get some heartbeats and stuff. It wasn't a total loss. Yeah, and I can send I'll send a heartbeat. Why not? I don't know what my power is set to. 100%.
And your audio interface in this situation is what? Coming off the Pi?
The Raspberry Pi is connected to the radio using a USB cable, and so it's getting cat control and audio over the single USB cable. In the
Okay.
case of the ICOM 705, Yaesu 991, the ICOM 7300, I can keep going. But you can use dual banders too, but you got to build a little push-to-talk circuit, which I have somewhere. Here it is. If you want to build a dual bander, I've got a circuit here that's really easy. I promise you guys can build these with the audio board. And it uses a little in-channel FET here for push-to-talk. And so you get your push-to-talk line from your radio, radio output, input, ground, and then the DigiPi does the rest. You could hook it up to the right GPIO pin. It grounds out your push-to-talk switch. It just works. I've got it working on the Yaesu FTM 400, 2980. You just make a little adapter cable with these 4 signals from your radio.
This is Jason K4APR. Just quick question that actually brought up Mike. Can you talk USB serial KISS to an actual KISS TNC, or are you just doing audio interface like that?
A lot of people ask that question. So Direwolf is the TNC. And it has 9 decoders. The Caltronics type of thing I don't think is going to do quite as well. So the answer is no, we can't connect.
Well, the reason I'm asking, so I don't know if you can see in my video here, this is the Nino TNC.
Yes.
This is capable of 1200, 2400, 4800, and 9600 baud over the air.
Awesome.
And this has the best hardware decoder I've ever worked on. Cool. And the reason I'm asking is this is designed to sit on top of a Raspberry Pi.
I see.
So that's why I'm very interested in this.
Yeah.
If you can talk KISS serial.
So
I know it's kind of blurry.
So the web chat, for example, it depends on the app, I suppose. So the web chat thing, I'm actually configure it to connect to localhost port 8001, which is the KISS port. So you could totally do that somehow. I don't know. I would be really excited to see that work somehow. But yeah, a lot of people ask me, well, can I hook it up to my Caltronics? It's like, well, no, we're getting away from that. We have software.
Well, we're about a week away from producing these, and get up with me, and I'll get one in your hands if you'd like to. If you'd like to try to do that.
Yeah,
so.
Love it. Love it.
All
Love
right.
it. All right.
Craig, another question?
Please, go ahead.
In DigiPi, I see rig control daemon, and I now see FL rig in the initialization screen. What's the difference between those? How do those two work, etc.?
Yeah, so a lot of people like to use FL rig for all their cat control. That way they can control the power levels. They can do just everything about their radio. So if you do a checkbox right here when you're initializing, when you fire up JS8 call, SSTV, or WSJTX, FL rig will fire up alongside it. So you can do your rig control, change your frequency, power levels, see your SWR. That's kind of important. So FL rig will run alongside those 4 apps that I just mentioned if you check that box. And then you configure each app to use FL rig.
Craig, what's that all about?
What's that?
The rig control daemon that's in the
if you want these apps to use the rig control daemon, you can set that up as well. Like I know Pat, WinLink email client, wants to use a rig control daemon for cat control. And use Pat in conjunction with the RDOP and the rig control daemon. So you'll want to start that. So if I was to start, I don't know, let's just start the WinLink email server. It'll fire up the rig control daemon. Oh, maybe it won't. No, Pat does it. Let me fire up Pat. If there's a dependent or subordinate service that's required, it'll light that up too. Yeah, you'll notice when I started Pat, the rig control daemon started up because Pat wants to use that. So you can configure that however you want as well. And that's auto-configured in that initialize link.
I was going to say the rig information is in your initialization screen at the bottom there, huh?
Yeah, and the initialize is something you do once when you first get it. You enter all that information once, and then it populates all that information into these apps. So if I want to do Pat, here's the Pat email client. And I'm doing email, and I can do RDOP. I'm on HF, so I can actually go to 10.145 megahertz. The LED lights have this trash, but yeah, I can do a WinLink connection right now if I hit connect, and the radio's ready and able. So yeah, I just demonstrated Pat. I told you guys I wasn't going to operate. I was going to just give you information and then get out of your hair.
You just can't.
Craig, may I assume that
I can't help it.
May I assume, Craig, that the rig control daemon and FL rig understand how to work with each other? I'm inclined to use
No.
FL rig,
Yeah.
but if I pick Pat, will there be a contention on the port that's being accessed?
Well, if you're using Pat's going to fire up the rig control daemon, but FL rig won't be running because there's no GUI for Pat. You know what I mean? Pat is a website, not a application. So they're mutually exclusive in that regard. You shouldn't see that conflict. That's a good question, though. I don't usually use FL rig, and the only thing that really needs rig control daemon is Pat. So I just threw it in there. I don't even know if you need it. What I should do is just kind of make it part of Pat, because that's confusing. People don't know what the hell a daemon is, right? It's going to confuse the people that we're trying to make this easy for. Yeah, I don't know. I'll kick that around.
And Craig, in version 1.6, I would install and run FL rig independent of DigiPi into the DigiPi system. You've installed it here. There are maybe a couple of other NBEMS apps in the FL suite, like Message and AMP, which might be important. Can they be installed in a similar fashion to what I did for FL rig?
Yeah, I know. You might have. Was it you that asked me about this? That was asked. One person asked me about this
It was
a while
me.
back. Yeah, it was you. Okay, so you can do it, but keep in mind we have a 512 megabyte budget. The FL stuff is epic in memory size. They're gigantic memory hogs. In fact, to get FL Digi to run, I had to borrow memory from the video subsystem, right, to get just enough memory for FL Digi to fit in our 512 megabyte budget. I think because it uses TCL TK for their GUI toolkit or something. I don't know. But just be aware there's a memory budget. Like if you've got a Raspberry Pi 4B here with gigabytes of RAM, knock yourself out. But I can't, in good faith, blow the memory out on this. I really have to watch these apps. Make sure they don't get
the 512 megabyte limit is specific to the Pi Zero?
So the Pi Zero, the original Raspberry Pi, the Pi 3A Plus, all of those are going to be 512 megabytes. It's not until you get to the Pi 3B Plus where you start seeing 1 gigabyte or more. So this is, I don't know if you can see, this really is the target device, and it has 512 megabytes for better or worse. And it runs great because this basically has a Pi 3B Plus processor in it, 4 cores. The only downside to this is the memory, and if it fits, it fits. It doesn't slow it down or anything. If it fits, it just works. And this weighs grams if you're a backpacker, and if you hook up a watt meter to this is just taking 100 milliamps, right? So if you're on solar and battery, this is really the target. But if you're at home, kick up the Raspberry Pi 4, do whatever you want. Yeah, install those FL apps. Those are cool.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Another question, the APRS Digipeater option there, does it just swap in a different config file for direwolf?
Yep.
Okay.
That's exactly what it does. I showed you here, I don't know if you can see all the direwolf. I got direwolf node, direwolf TNC, direwolf Digipeater, direwolf WinLink. And yeah, it just reconfigures, it points direwolf at a different config file. And you're suddenly a Digipeater.
Nice.
Yeah, when what I did for the event this year was I took Don's, first of all, I upgraded the version of direwolf that's on DigiPi to the 1.7 pre-release. And then I took the config files for the golden packet and I renamed them so they use the same file names. I think it's what Craig uses for the first 2 items on the list, I think. And then I was just able to use those on-off buttons. I could have obviously taken it further and changed the labels and all that, but works great.
Yeah, these run as system services, so you can do a system CTL start, stop, and if they depend on each other, they will start each other. So yeah, right now it's an APRS Digipeater. In fact, I should probably get on an APRS frequency. There we go.
A minor detail. Packet racket on HF.
Okay, I won't do APRS and upper sideband either. I'll go the extra mile there. Yeah, so now it's on FM data. Actually, I'm not getting jammed by the power company. Oh, you know what? I'm on the HF antenna. That sucks.
If your antenna only goes out to the coax port, you don't receive much, do you?
No. See, now I'm on the VHF antenna on top. Actually, no, it's actually not awful. Oh my gosh. I should look for the PG&E trucks. I don't know. Told people wouldn't badmouth the power company. Nah, it's still there. But anyways, it's a Digipeater right now, and I just transmitted a packet, and I got repeated. I don't know if you guys can see that. See my call sign. as a wide 1 digi. And that's all I had to do is click on next to APRS Digipeater. And you can set a boot time default. And if I want to, and I don't really have a web browser, I can actually use these buttons. If you guys can see this, I'm going to press this button. And now it's a TNC. It was a Digipeater. Or I can put it in standby if I click it again. And it tells me the IP address, which is critical for people with weird routers at home. So now it's in standby mode. I don't know if you guys saw that, but any other questions? Let me see if, can you guys see that? I can see myself now. This whole time I haven't been able to see myself. Yeah, you can kind of see it. Stand by.
Yeah, we saw the button activity. That was pretty cool.
Right. I'm just winging it.
Greg, you said 1.7 is released and available now?
Yes. Yeah, contact me if you want it. Don't be patrons. You guys deserve a lot. You guys deserve a lot. So just email me. I'll get you, or I'll give the password to Jeff or whatever. You guys just download it.
Yeah, I can make it available.
Yeah, you know it, right, Jeff? So yeah, just
yeah,
give it to everyone.
I'm still a Patreon member too, so.
Yeah, so I it's for patrons of the channel to get them using these modes that we talk about on the channel every day, right? So if you're a patron, you get to use the modes we talk about in a really easy and accessible way. But once you get the DigiPi image, share it with your friends. The only thing I'd ask is just don't post it online, because I just can't support forks. And I do talk to people, all my patrons. That talk to them individually in email. It's like 500 now. So there's a community around this. And at some point, I need to pass the torch on, and we'll get this all on GitHub. We'll get the imaging process automated with Ansible or something. I really don't know. I don't know where it's going to go next. But I use this all the time. I made this out of necessity.
Speaking of Ansible, feel free to check out HamPi on GitHub. You can take a look and see how I put together stuff together using the Ansible playbooks.
Yeah.
Also, I've got like 50 forks. Nobody's really asked me for any assistance. So, so you said you have a community of about 500 already?
Yeah, 500 people, patrons, I should say. They've donated. I just, if it's a couple bucks, then you get the password, you get the image, and then,
that's amazing that you got so many patrons.
Yeah, I know, and it's kind of blew up in my face. But I talk about this all the time on the channel, and people are really interested in these data modes, especially the younger crowd. Definitely, we're seeing a lot of that.
It's because you know how to like flash all the gang signs that the cool kids know. So
I don't know what the deal is. Yeah. See, how do I change frequencies? Oh goodness, down here.
It's probably the kick-ass guitar licks.
That too.
Yeah,
the bumper music
gives me an excuse to play guitar. See, Mom, I'm famous now. I made something out of that. So I'm running FT8 now. Man, these lights are just jamming the heck out of this. Oh man. Oh, I got a couple stations. All right, we're playing FT8 now. Any other questions?
Any other questions, guys? I figure we just keep this kind of open.
Craig, do you have an email you'd be willing to share, or at least with us? I looked on your website and I didn't see an email, so I contact you directly, or
KM6LYW at gmail.com.
Oh, at Gmail. Okay,
I'm not
cool.
that creative yet.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, please do. And Jeff has the login and password to get this download this image. You guys are all entitled to it. I mean, if it wasn't for you guys, none of this would exist. So I owe you an awful lot already.
I'm in the process of putting it up there, so share it with the group.
I'm transmitting on FT8. 30 meters is working.
So I say, I mean, and Craig, probably no shock to you, but we had folks using the APRS appliance, and one of the things I like to do at the end of the event is collect feedback from everyone who was out in the field. And I would say beyond any shadow of doubt, the number one complaint was no interface to the appliance. I mean, it's literally, plug a US or a micro SD card in, and it just automatically starts itself and runs everything, but there was no way to get, any sort of feedback from the device. And so, DigiPi does all that and more.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It tells you what it's doing. You got to have feedback is the right word. You need to know it's doing something, especially if it's going off the rails. So the screen always gives you the status, what mode it's in. And of course,
Exactly.
when we're doing packet AX.25 APRS, it shows you all the cool stations. In fact, it's got a mode where it'll do a full screen station. So when a weather station pops up, you can see the temperature and the wind direction and stuff like that. So that mode exists as well. But yeah, it makes it more entertaining. It's not just some brick, right?
Lynn,
Screen's
do
actually
you think the web chat function could be used for like the messages that we need to send? Or
If we start messaging on the trail, we really need people to understand paths and shrink their paths down to the target of the
okay,
message. Because messaging, especially, I didn't see any way to disable the ACK request on the web chat. And when you start having ACK requests and all the ACKs flying up and down, and they're all going out with hop 77, hop 77, it can get ugly real fast.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it right now the way it is. In fact, you can't even configure the DigiPath unless you'd hack the source. Right now it's wide 1, wide 2. But that's coming. So all of that functionality, basically all of the functionality of APRS Droid in an easy to use web browser kind of format. That's kind of what we're after. But this is our first shot at it, what you guys just saw.
Okay.
And it's not, I don't think it's ready for what you guys are doing. A little too advanced.
If I can put the bug in your, just a little checkbox that says no ACK. And
Possibly,
don't put the message ID on the end of it. It's kind of like this.
Yeah.
Send it out and
Yeah.
you don't know if it got there or not, but
Yeah.
it really cuts down the bandwidth.
Yeah, I agree. You guys have a special circumstance, right? I just want people to be able to send a message to a radio and back. And there's guys locally. We talk all the time. In fact, it doesn't even have to be local. The endpoints are all RF, obviously. And I talk to people in Europe. In fact, I just talked to you guys in Virginia and
Florida. I just put another link into the chat. You keep mentioning APRS Droid. I actually have an APRS client for Android as well. It's called APRS ISMO. It goes by the APK of test host at this point, but don't ask me about that. But it's been my Android APRS client for the past probably 5 or 6 years.
Cool.
But there's only like 3 or 4 of us using it on the planet.
Well, we got to advertise this. I will check this out. Love it. Just got it in the tab here.
Yeah, the only thing that's not obvious is once you install it, you have to enable non-store installs, of course. And you get the menus by tapping the title bar, and then all the buttons will jump up and one of them's configure, and everything after that is pretty obvious, but tapping the title bar is non-intuitive.
Yeah, okay. I'll have dumb questions for you. Cool. Yeah, the more accessible APRS is, the better. I mean, APRS Droid is great. These types of things are great, but I think we can make it more accessible, less geeky.
Yeah, you've heard of APRS Thursday, HOTG?
Oh yeah, it melts down my digiputers every Thursday.
Well, it does have a habit of doing that. I also happen to be the host of AN server.
Okay, got it. So that's the one where you log in for the Thursday net, right? And then it repeats. Yep.
Yeah, Thursday UTC net.
Yep, I see a lot of that traffic here for sure on Thursdays. Cool. Any other questions, guys?
Thanks, Craig. Really do appreciate it. If anybody, if you guys do have any questions that come up, obviously there's the Golden Packet group. Craig monitors it, but there's also DigiPi group. It's on Google Groups, right?
Yeah, we have a Google group. We got a Discord room. People are, building cool stuff, hardware interfaces and stuff. So yeah, we got a little community around this.
Yeah, so I can share links to all of that, and so I'm in the process of uploading the 1.7 image, so I will share that with the group. And I think that's about it, Craig. I want to let you get back to your evening, family and friends and whatnot. But wanted to thank you so much for joining us tonight.